Hey, what is up guys, it's Diego back in the video. So apparently, Primal has been submitted as a contender to win an Oscar award in the category of animated films in 2020. If you guys don't know what Primal is, it revolves around a caveman and a Tyrannosaurus as they befriend each other after experiencing similar tragedies, using that newfound friendship to help each other through the primordial world. Primal is an awesome show that I've become seriously invested in, and if you haven't watched it yet, you definitely should. I highly recommend it. Primal is known for its dark themes and gritty nature, which, despite how graphic it can be sometimes, it's received well by fans. Many consider this show a masterpiece, and when it was announced that it would be submitted in the 2020 Oscar Awards, people were pretty excited. But there's also a bit of confusion. Given from the latest news on Primal, it looks like Primal isn't being submitted as a series, but as a feature-length film, because obviously when you're in the category of animated films, it actually has to be a film. And if I'm correct, the length that a film has to be in order to be submitted into the Oscar award is 40 minutes or longer, I think. And each of these individual episodes that Primal has is only like 22 minutes long. So there's a little bit confusion of how like Primal would be submitted, but apparently the way it's been submitted is the fact that it's not necessarily considered a show when it's submitted. It's actually kind of a movie now. It's been submitted under a different title called Primal Tales of Savagery, and I don't really know how they did it. According to what I researched, they ended up submitting it as a 4-part epic that ended up being one long movie instead of a 5-episode series. So I'm assuming that they probably put maybe episodes 1 and 2 together as one full episode, along with just kind of incorporating the other 3 as like scenes in this little series / movie thing that they submitted for the Oscars. And again, it's under a different title, which is kind of cool but kind of weird at the same time. I wasn't really sure how what to think of this, because at first when I was researching this, I thought that it was gonna be they were actually gonna make a theatrical version of Primal, like an actual movie, like a completely different something completely different from the 5 episodes that we've gotten, and just an actual movie based on something else that still has something to do with Spear and Fang. But that's not the case. They just took the 5 episodes, I guess made some edits here and there to make it seem more like a movie than a TV show. And it's kind of weird because those 5 episodes are technically not the last episodes. Basically, they're only working with half a season right now because the first 5 episodes technically are only half of season 1. According to Genndy Tartakovsky, they didn't have time to make all 10 episodes that they were planning on making. So instead, they ended up making the first 5 and releasing it in 2019 in October, and now they're going to release the other 5 sometime in 2020. We don't really know the exact date, but we do know that it's going to be sometime in 2020. And apparently, these next episodes in this next half of the season are going to be completely different in terms of like dark themes and gritty nature as the first 5, which is saying a lot because the first 5 were pretty graphic and pretty dark. So I'm interested to see what they have planned for us. I hope it's something different, because as much as I love Primal, it did have a repetitive nature to it. Each episode like basically had the same type of format where Spear and Fang would just be kind of doing their own thing, and then they'd run into a problem which would lead to a boss fight, which they would fight that boss, kill it in a very graphic way, and then that's basically the end of the episode. Don't get me wrong, that's really cool, and for something like an animated series, that fits perfectly. If it was a more realistic show, then it wouldn't really fit. It'd be something that people wouldn't really like, just the repetitive nature of it. But again, when it comes to an animated show, it works perfect. But anyways, as far as Primal being submitted into the Oscars, I don't really know what to think of it. I actually did a poll on my channel on the community tab asking you guys if you yourselves personally think if Primal was an award-winning show, an Oscar worthy show. And a lot of you guys said yes. Some of you said no, which I could kind of understand, but a lot of you said yes. And I feel like I could agree with the people that said yes more than the ones that said no, because Primal, as unrealistic and inaccurate it is still very real in the sense that it has real emotions and it has real themes, and the themes are definitely what make the show very strong. And believe it or not, even the gritty nature of it, yes, I mean, there's a lot of blood and there's a lot of gore, but it's not for the sake of there being blood and gore, as Genndy Tartakovsky said himself in an interview, I think at the San Diego Comic-Con. He actually said that he's doing it for an actual point. Basically, what I said in my previous video, he's doing all of this gritty nature stuff to basically prove to us how deadly this primordial world is. So he's doing a good job of that, because this world is definitely it's scary. Like, just imagine yourself in that situation with all of those creatures just chasing after you. It's kind of a dark thought. But anyways, so yeah, I honestly can understand why that Primal is being submitted for an Oscar award. And, you know, I could kind of agree with the people that wouldn't think that, because, you know, it's kind of a show that, despite its themes and despite the fact that it's for a more mature audience, there are people out there that can't take the show seriously because of how inaccurate it is and how ridiculous it may seem. I, for one, don't really think it's ridiculous. I do think it's pretty crazy because of the concept of all these creatures being in one time period, and the extent they decide to go to with the gore and how graphic it is. Yes, it's crazy, but I wouldn't say it's ridiculous. I'd say ridiculous would be like if they somehow incorporated like major comedy into this, or if Spear would actually talk. That would be kind of ridiculous in my opinion. Or if the dinosaurs could talk, that would definitely be ridiculous in my book. Now, do I think Primal is gonna win? Do I think that Primal is gonna win this Oscar award? Truth be told, not really. Don't get me wrong, I love Primal, and compared to all the other movies that are, you know, listed as being submitted into this Oscar award, I definitely think Primal is better. But if we're talking in terms of the general public, I think people are gonna favor something like Frozen 2 a lot more than Primal, because, you know, it appeals to little kids, and when it comes to little kids, you know, they outnumber us, you know, the people who want to watch more mature content. All right, it's just a logical way of thinking about it. And, you know, when it comes to the kids, obviously the adults will see the appeal to the kids, so obviously, you know, they're gonna be for it too. So yeah, I just, as great as Primal is, I just don't really think it stands much of a chance when it comes to the Oscar awards, because, you know, Frozen 2 is not the only thing on there. You know, there's some other well-known things on there that, again, do appeal to kids. And, you know, when it comes to animated films, obviously they appeal more to kids than anything, despite the fact that some of them out there are obviously not meant for kids, you know, like Primal. Sadly, the majority of the films on this list are, unsurprisingly, kids films. So again, it's going to be hard to compete. So at the end of the day, I feel like Primal just doesn't really stand a chance. Don't get me wrong, I still love Primal, and I'm glad that's being submitted, because I feel like it's underrated. Yes, there's definitely a fan base revolved around Primal, but I feel like it doesn't get nearly as much love as I feel like it should be getting. And, you know, it's just nowadays, people, they get overly sensitive about stuff, and, you know, it kind of makes sense, you know, keeping that in mind, that Primal probably wouldn't be considered something like a masterpiece to maybe people outside of its fan base. I don't know. But I, for one, think that Primal is an amazing show. I do definitely think it deserves something like an Oscar. Do I think it's going to win one? Not necessarily. But anyways, guys, those are my thoughts on it. Let me know what your thoughts down below. Like, you know, I want to know, do you guys think that Primal is going to win the Oscars? Do you think that it has a chance? And if you do, let me know down in the comments below. But anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this little video just talking about Primal and some of the newest things that are happening with it, then be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more Primal updates and other cool dinosaur stuff I post on this channel. That's all I have to say for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and please, have a nice day.